Hi, I'm Amber Mack, and today I'm going to talk about relentless adaptation, 3 artificial intelligence trends that are shaping our future, and lessons and tools to grow your business today. Before we talk about what's happening in 2020, I wanted to take a look at 2 images that were trending online a few years ago that really demonstrate how quickly technology is moving forward. The first image here at St. Peter's Square in 2005. As you can see, there's not a lot of technology in the photo except for one tiny little flip phone in the bottom right-hand corner. Fast forward 8 years and every single person who's gathered at St. Peter's Square has some type of mobile device in their hands. As we think about the future over the next few years, imagine how this future is going to change, fueled by artificial intelligence. We're also experiencing change when it comes to the number of devices that are connected to the internet. To put this into perspective, imagine it like this. The average household with 2 teenage kids will have roughly 50 internet-connected devices by 2022. I hope you're sitting there thinking about the number of tablets, smartphones, gaming systems, even smart technology in the home that you have right now, and you can see how quickly you can get to this number. We're also at the beginning of the artificial intelligence revolution, a massive market that will be worth about $36.8 billion by 2025. Now, when I talk about artificial intelligence on stage, I often get asked the same question over and over again. And instead of waiting until the end to answer that question here or online, I wanted to get this one out of the way. And the question is this: will AI kill us all? Why are we worried about our future? Well, it doesn't help that we see headlines like this. Technology leaders such as Elon Musk, who are saying that when it comes to the future, we'll be lucky if the robots enslave us as pets. We're also seeing late night talk shows talk about the future like this.
In a recent op-ed column, you said, and I quote, "Success in creating artificial intelligence would be the biggest event in human history. Unfortunately, it might also be the last." Are you saying that robots are going to destroy humanity? And is that a scientific argument or the pitch for an amazing movie?
Artificial intelligence could be a real danger in the not-too-distant future. It could design improvements to itself and outsmart us all.
I know you're trying to get people to be cautious there, but why should I not be excited about fighting a robot?
You would lose.
While I know there are many reasons to be afraid, I am more optimistic about the future than the average person, and I see plenty of opportunity for all of us who run our own businesses to leverage these tools and technologies to grow our businesses. But the truth remains that change has never happened this fast before, and it will never ever be this slow again. And I know that many of you are watching right now are feeling this today in 2020, especially with the world in crisis. So what I want to talk about is 3 technologies that are shaping our future, that are fueled by artificial intelligence, and some tools that you can use in your own business. The first that I want to talk about is how our communication is changing with people within our businesses and at home. So let's talk about voice technology such as smart speakers and how it's reshaping our mornings.
Okay, Google, how's the traffic from Pebble Rock School to the airport?
Your normal route has heavy traffic. There's a faster one that'll take about 35 minutes. I've sent it to your phone.
Okay. Go!
Dad!
Hey, Google, what's on the calendar today?
The first event is Space Day at Kevin's school. It starts at 8 a.m.
Space Day. Are you ready, buddy?
Ready.
Let's go.
This stat always surprises me. 50% of all searches will be voice searches in 2020. I saw this in my own home with my son, who's now 11 years old. When he started using Google Home a couple of years ago, after about 3 months of interacting with this device, we went on a family trip together, and it was fascinating to watch him walk into the hotel room and say, "Okay, Google, play my favorite playlist," which made it very clear that Generation Z expects that in the future, perhaps they'll be able to speak into the air and get all of the information that they need. When we talk about the future of voice technology, what amazes me is the adoption of these new devices in the home, but also in the workplace. More and more, we're seeing what's called hyper adoption. And that means within a couple of years, the way that we communicate can change entirely based on new technology. We're seeing this in cities such as Las Vegas. What's happening in that city today is that they're leveraging smart speakers to communicate with their residents. So what they've decided to do is to make information accessible through smart speakers, information such as park hours, information about elections, a community calendar, and even the status of building permits. Now, you may think that this is just another shiny thing that you can get in the city of Las Vegas, but really what they're doing is recognizing that for many families, a new smartphone or a new computer is quite expensive, in some cases more than $1,000, whereas you can buy a new smart speaker for $30, $40, or $50. So in some ways, the reason that we're seeing this hyper adoption is because this technology is more accessible than some of the hardware we have out there today. When we think about this, the question we all have to ask ourselves is how can we leverage new voice technology or audio technology in our businesses? A tool that I want to recommend for businesses is called Otter.ai. You can get hundreds of minutes of usage for free. This will allow you to do things such as record conference calls or video meetings and get access to smart notes that are powered by artificial intelligence. It's also a great way to record your own voice notes. Maybe you want to turn them into a podcast and also have a text version. So a really robust and powerful tool. The first lesson for all of us in this age of artificial intelligence, particularly when it comes to the voice revolution, is to think about new and interactive ways that we can leverage both audio technology as well as voice technology. I have a link here you can check out in terms of how to prepare your business for this new voice revolution from search engine land. And I would also recommend that you try out Otter.ai, and of course, maybe it's a great time to start creating your own podcast. The second AI trend perhaps is a little more disturbing for most of us who are in the world of creating content, and we see this rise in terms of synthetic content. Synthetic content can look like this. Here's an example from NVIDIA of how they were able to leverage artificial intelligence to essentially create faces of people who do not exist. So what they were able to do is to feed a machine data, images of people. That machine understood what those people look like and eventually created new people. Why is this a concern in 2020? Well, for most people, like myself who have kids, we know that more and more of these kids are using these platforms such as YouTube and Instagram and even TikTok as a primary source of news. And with the rise of synthetic content, we can see how this could potentially be a problem today and down the road. When we think about synthetic content, perhaps one of the most popular fake videos that we've seen out there that is considered a deep fake is this video of President Barack Obama saying words that he never said in the first place.
We're entering an era in which our enemies can make it look like anyone is saying anything at any point in time, even if they would never say those things. This is a dangerous time. Moving forward, we need to be more vigilant with what we trust from the internet.
Now, usually in my presentation, this is where I stop, and I know many people who are watching will be even more fearful about the future. But I have to share that I was sitting in my hotel room in Orlando last year, and I was researching deepfake videos. And I saw this deepfake video that was perhaps not frightening, but in many ways hopeful about how this technology could help to educate people in different languages. Here's an example of David Beckham, who is teaching people about malaria and raising awareness about how malaria is affecting people from around the world.
It's the deadliest disease there's ever been.
Se dice que ha matado más de la mitad de la población que ha existido.
بليون من تاع مريض
وما زالت تقتل طفلا كل دقيقتين.
Mais nous pouvons y mettre fin. Nous savons comment, nous en avons la possibilité.
For me, this was really a light bulb moment. Until I saw that video, I assumed that all deep fake videos were malicious in one way or another. But then after seeing that David Beckham video where he was able to speak about malaria through the voices of people who were impacted by malaria in multiple languages, all of a sudden I saw new hope for the world in front of us. And this is the second lesson, and that is to stay open to crazy ideas. The truth is that our world today is completely powered by crazy ideas. So for a tip in terms of how to prepare for this crazy world in front of us, there's a book I want to recommend called Loon Shots. It's an excellent read from Safi Bahcall that talks about how the world today, especially in 2020 and especially at this time we're in right now, actually needs those crazy ideas.
If you really want to change the world, you need to nurture these crazy ideas. And I think right now, we really need to change. There are a lot of changes we need, whether climate change or political environment. Big changes require crazy ideas.
The third AI trend that is going to impact many of us in this age of artificial intelligence is workplace automation. We're already seeing the stats. To understand how this is going to affect different professions, I recommend that you check out this chart from Bloomberg that allows you to search pretty much any job title imaginable and understand how that job could potentially be automated. When we think about what that means for the future of skills, this is a chart that I love to share that talks about the skills that are growing skills versus the skills that are declining. And what's really interesting here is that we can see that the growing skills are things such as analytical thinking, creativity, innovation, and all of those skills really are the skills that make us human. And focusing on these skills will allow us to survive in this time of change. One example of an industry that is being affected today in terms of automation is customer service. We've all seen this stat that has been shared on social media that this year up to 85% of all jobs in customer service could be automated by bots. And why are we seeing this change? Well, we know that in the banking industry, as one example, chatbots will save banks about $7.3 billion by 2023. Now, we're seeing these changes take place in our society, and most of us are likely fearful of these changes. But one way you can think about the rise in automation is to think that there is that potential that this will help you with everyday tasks. Here are a few examples of how AI-based tools can automate things that used to be done by humans, at least in part or in full. One of my favorite tools is called BigView, and this will help you to record videos using a tablet and turn that tablet into a teleprompter. This used to cost hundreds of thousands of dollars in a broadcast environment, and now all of a sudden this is accessible per month for just a few dollars a month. What I also love about this is that the automation piece of it is that it easily adds captions to videos that are recorded within BigView. And this means that all of your marketing videos can also be accessible. Another great tool to help you automate your marketing videos is a tool called Magisto. And what this tool will help you do is to create social media videos within minutes that are powered by artificial intelligence thanks to its smart video editor. I'm not saying that all videos need to be automated, but of course for most small businesses, this will help in many cases to reduce costs. When it comes to artificial intelligence and automation, another really great tool is called AI hashtags, which is completely free. This is a really simple way to take a photo of something, then it will automatically create hashtags based on what that photo is. This is something that will help you in your marketing if you are sharing content to social media and you don't want to go through the cumbersome process of creating your own hashtags. This will automate that experience. It's not always perfect, but it will help you get a head start. Another tool out there is called Lumen 5, and this will turn your blog posts into videos. So essentially you can think about it like this. Once you upload a blog post or a piece of text, it will automatically match it with videos that it has in its library as well as music that you can use for commercial purposes. The term that is often used when describing Lumen 5 is that it auto-magically does this for you so that you don't have to go through the process of editing those videos, and all of a sudden you can take one piece of content that is in written form and turn it into a piece of video content. The last tool I want to mention is called Calorie Mama, and this leverages computer vision. What's interesting about Calorie Mama, with so many of us working at home these days and maybe paying more attention to what we're eating, is that it will allow you to take a photo of your food and it will automatically tell you the nutritional value in that food, the calories and other details. So if you're keeping any type of food diary, this just makes that process that much easier. And what does all of this tell us about the future that is in front of us? It tells us that we need to do things like all of you are doing today, which means that we have to embrace this idea of constant learning. Perhaps the late futurist Alvin Toffler said it best: "The illiterate of the 21st century will not be those who cannot read and write, but those who cannot learn, unlearn, and relearn." As we embrace this constant learning, this is the last tip I have for you today. It is to rethink the future of tasks. Many of the tasks in front of us can in fact be automated. And a great book to read to understand the future of automation and this human and machine partnership is this book called Human and Machine. I leave you with this last question. Are you ready for this future that is in front of us? For many of us, it means that we have to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and embrace this idea of relentless adaptation. Every single day we are faced with new challenges, and every day we have to understand and embrace change. So just to recap, when it comes to the future of communication, all of us need to think and plan for the voice revolution, whether that is smart voice notes or getting into the business of podcasting. We also have to understand that information in our world is flowing freely and flowing fast. So we need to stay open to those crazy ideas that allow us to change and shape the future. And finally, when it comes to the future of education and the future of how all of us learn and do our jobs, we need to rethink the future of tasks and what part of those tasks can potentially be automated. As I leave you today, I want to remind you once again using this quote from race car driver Mario Andretti: "If everything seems under control, you're just not going fast enough." This is so true for all of us in 2020 and again during this time that we're in right now. Because after all, we've seen this in terms of the history of technology, that massive changes have taken place within the span of a decade. But what we're facing today instead is massive change that feels as though it's taking place not within decades, but within mere days. Thank you so much for joining me today. To follow me online, you can check me out on all the social media platforms at Amber Mac.